everyone. My name is Jen Reaney. I'm the Community Relations Coordinator for the Delaware Children's Department, and we are back with another one of our DSCYF mental health chats. And we're going to be talking today about an important topic, suicide prevention and awareness. And today I'm really excited. I have two great experts in this arena. We have Yolanda Jenkins, our Manager of Provider Services for the Division of Prevention and Behavioral Health Services with the Children's Department, and Jennifer Smolowitz, who is the Director of Suicide Prevention for the Mental Health Association in Delaware. Thank you both so much. Really appreciate it. So just to kind of just kick right off, Yolanda, can you kind of paint a picture of what the COVID-19 crisis has been like for children and families in Delaware? What impact has it had on mental health?
Wow, our families are extremely resilient, but we have seen some struggles from our families. It's been very overwhelming, not just for our families, but for our colleagues, for our providers. COVID-19 has provided for just a shift and a quick shift, and so, our families are not exempt. We were providing services to our families, and even some families that were not receiving services, we've seen a uptick or increase in families that just needed some support during this time. But I would be remiss if I did not say that they have not been resilient. COVID came out of nowhere for a lot of us, and we're still Delaware strong. I just believe that at this time, our families do need a little more support. Our colleagues need a little more support, and as well as our providers, they need some support too, so that we can continue, because unfortunately, we don't know how long this will last. What do you believe, Jennifer? And Jennifer and I have worked together for years, so this is nice. This is beautiful, because we've shared and have been on the Mental Health Association and the Kids Department. We've worked on every suicide prevention grant that Delaware has had. So yes, Jennifer, please add.
Yeah, and I think what you said is great, and I wanted to echo the point about resiliency. I think that especially the younger children, we have seen resiliency across the board. I think we always say, how are they going to keep their mask on all day? They do it easily. They get to pick out their favorite character, or their favorite this, or their favorite that, and they just do it because they don't know any different, especially the younger ones. But I definitely think it's been a struggle for all of us, as Yolanda mentioned, and I think it's just a matter of really looking out for each other. And I think for the first time, parents can't necessarily shield everything that's happening from their kids, because everyone's together 24/7. So you can't shield the fact that you're not going to work because everyone's working from home, or any problems that may be arising within the home or outside or in other family structures. Everything's being brought to the forefront. So I think the family structures are changing in the sense that there needs to be more openness now, but also just in general, we're seeing more resiliency, but we're also seeing more disappointment. Events are being canceled for children, and it's none of their control. It's completely out of their control. And we're just kind of saying to them, okay, well, that's just 2020, it's just how it is. But we would all have been disappointed if our proms and our graduations and things are canceled. So I think we're seeing more disappointments and that loss of opportunity, and I think there's going to be some spiraling that comes from that.
I would agree. I absolutely. And just to add on that, our families are exactly what you said, Jennifer. The families, they're together 24/7, and they're overwhelmed. And now that we have families that are now the teachers, and they are the breadwinners, and they have to take care of themselves too. I think the more support that we can provide for these families, the better. And I will say that the Kids Department providers, they have done a yeoman's job. They really have. They have really been there and trying to really, really assist assist the families in this time.
Right. Definitely. And it is just so overwhelming. And what do you both think is, some way that families can, take a step back and prioritize, their mental health? And, what kind of strategies or advice would you give as they're trying to, work through all these different challenges?
Wow, it's a really loaded question, and we threw around, and we've been speaking about self-care for a long time now, for the last 3 years. But I will tell you, and in all transparency, with my own family, and with my employees, those that are in my unit, and the partners, it's hard. It is absolutely hard. One of my strategies, and one of the strategies that I have said to families, and is that just to continue to talk, continue to reach out and talk. I would love to say, I've even incorporated walking around my development, or trying to get some walk in, trying to get some movement in, because I think that's helpful. And some of the feedback that I've received was that, trying to have some type of normalcy in your lives, having the kids go outside when they can, that has helped. But it really is, it's hard. It is hard, and it's hard to prioritize when you have all of these different challenges ahead. So, and that's why I keep bringing up, and Jen has echoed me, the resiliency. Yes, there have been disappointments, but these families are so resilient because everything has sort of been, it appears that everything has been taken from them.
Right.
And so, I think the resiliency is, there is a strategy, and it's deep within. It comes within them from their experiences. But if I had to throw something out there for some strategies, I would absolutely encourage families and my peers, my colleagues, to talk to someone, to really, really talk to someone, and to try to get some movement in during the day. This quarantine was hard for a lot of us. Try to get some exercise in, even if you had to just do it within your home. What would you say, Jennifer?
I think with that, also letting yourself off the hook. I think we're in a phase where everybody wants to have the highlight reels, and wants to be the Pinterest family, and wants to be perfect at everything, or at least look perfect. And I think it's okay to say we're all a mess right now in one way or another, that our houses might not be clean, or we might not be keeping up with laundry or dishes, but your kids are being fed, and your kids have a warm place to sleep at night, or they feel loved, or whatever that might look like. So I think going easy on yourself. I saw a meme yesterday, and it had a battery percentage that was at 1%. It said, you wouldn't let your phone get this low, so not to let yourself get that low either.
Oh.
And it's hard. It's hard when we're constantly in a situation where we're comparing ourselves to others, to separate from that. But if everybody collectively could say, we're all just hanging in there, maybe we could go a little bit easier on ourselves. And definitely prioritizing that movement, getting outside while the weather's still cooperating, and even if it's a little colder, bundling up and getting outside, because it really can change your perspective. But just admitting that we're all just doing the best we can, and none of us are out there to be perfect or appear perfect at anything, especially right now.
Jennifer, I want to repeat what you just said. I absolutely, because I think that is really key. It's okay. It is absolutely okay, and to let yourself off the hook. I think that is huge. I absolutely do believe, because, parents, and I've heard this, they're doing everything. And it's okay. You're right. It's okay if I have to walk in and I see 2 bags of laundry that I just could not get to, or if the dishes are still in the sink. it is okay. I absolutely do echo that. That is really, really key, because I'm hearing the families, I'm hearing the providers talk about what is happening. And you're right, it's okay. This is a time where it's just okay. You know, we're in different times, and it's okay, and not to beat yourself up. That is huge. That's huge. I'm glad you brought that up. That is huge.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think that's so important, and for everyone to realize, you know, we're in this together, and sometimes it seems, you know, never ending, but we will get through this, and that's so important.
And I think too, just to add really quickly, I'm sorry, is especially within the family structure, it's okay to be emotional in front of the children. It's okay to show that you're hurting about something, but I'm also hurting that I'm not seeing my loved ones, or you're hurting about this lost opportunity or missed opportunity, but I am too. And it's okay to show that, again, we're all in this together. We're all doing the best we can, and we're not all going to have the best days every day, and that's okay. But having that transparency, especially with the kids, they're going to mimic and echo what they see. So if they're seeing that it's okay to express those emotions, that will be very beneficial for a lot of other factors.
I agree. It's healthy, and it will aid. It will aid in and helping to prevent death by suicides, and helping to prevent that at-risk behaviors, those increase in substances and things. Being open and honest, and speaking and crying. And you know, it's okay to cry. You're right. It's okay to cry, and it's okay for moms and dads to want to scream outside, because it's very overwhelming. But it's when we hold it in is when we start to see some of those different type of risk factors that increase. Yeah, it is. It's okay. That might have to be my theme. That's going to be the new. It's okay. That's our new newsletter, Jen.
There you go.
Yeah, it's okay. Mm-hmm.
It's so true. I think that's so important. And, you know, on that topic of, you know, recognizing different signs and, you know, having those open conversations, you know, breaking down those barriers are so important. Can you both talk a little bit about, you know, what are some of the signs that, you know, parents, even friends, you know, anyone could really take note of, you know, that someone might be struggling, you know, with some kind of concern?
I think a huge one is any type of loss. And I think with this pandemic, and also with some of the social issues that we have going on, and really just everything going on, I think a lot of it comes down to loss in a variety of ways. So if you know that somebody's experienced a loss of a loved one for health reasons, to suicide, a loss of a relationship, even a fight among friends and the loss of a friendship, but even taking it further, their loss of identity. So if they're losing their job, or they're losing their business they've worked for so many years, they're losing who they are. Maybe it is a student athlete who they're losing that final opportunity that might be what helps them get into college, or helps them with this opportunity or that one. Financial losses, just loss of the routine, loss of the familiar. I think especially during COVID-19, that's something we need to pay extra attention to. Really any differences that you're noticing in them, changes in their personality, changes in their behaviors, changes in their hygiene, and just their want to take care of themselves. I think that's something we always stress that you want to look out for. And also if you're hearing them say some finality type statements, or I won't matter much longer, or pretty soon you won't have to worry about me. If you're hearing somebody feel that they're a burden, or they appear as if they feel very anxious over something, very worried about something, those are definitely some signs that we want to look out for.
I would agree. I would agree. And we also don't want to forget that individual, especially these young people, and you said it, and I'm just going to reshape the loss. We have our high school students that were looking forward to playing their last year of football or basketball or cheerleading or music or drama, and that's not here anymore. So those that were excelling, even those that, you know, because we sometimes forget about the kid that we think has always thrived, that kid that's always thrived, that's not really showing signs, we want to do some check-ins. We want to do check-ins with everyone because you just never know. Those are all excellent signs that we've learned about as gatekeeper trainers, as we've heard and we've seen. But it's the kid and the family member that they're not talking, or the ones that we have not heard from, or the ones that you would just think that, oh yeah, they're usually so talkative. Those two, we don't want to forget about those young people or those families. We want to check in on them as well.
And two, with everyone being home, well, the majority of people still being at home and doing school virtually, we don't have that second line of people looking out for them. So yes, the teachers may be interacting with them via Zoom, but they're not seeing them every day. They're not seeing the students who are having trouble fitting in at lunch or being picked last, or even just the students whose grades are constantly falling, because all of that's changing. So if you do have kids at home, or even just loved ones in general that you're worried about, even though we have so much other stuff going on, paying that extra attention when we can. If something's giving you that feeling that something's not okay, asking those questions. We don't have to mind our business when it comes to suicide. So if somebody's making you feel, and their behaviors are making you feel uncomfortable, saying, I'm worried about you, these are the things I'm noticing, let's talk about it.
Exactly. One of the first trainings we had when we first started bringing about suicide awareness was suicide is everybody's business. And it is. It continues to be everybody's business.
Definitely. I think that's so important. And what would be some other ways that, people could check in, like you mentioned? What are some different, ways to start that conversation, different questions, anything that you kind of recommend to, help people maybe make it more comfortable to start that conversation?
It's an uncomfortable, it can be uncomfortable for some individuals, but I believe, and just in my experiences and what I've seen, I believe that we have to have this conversation about suicide just like we talk about drugs and sex. Those conversations that I used to have with my young people initially was just we talk about sex, and parents talk about that very clearly, and about drugs, and about don't drinking, and not drinking and driving, or no smoking. That's the way we need to talk about suicide prevention. It needs to be just as normal as any other topic, and I do recognize that it probably is very difficult and hard.
I think trying to normalize the conversation too, in the sense that, again, pointing out what you're seeing, but letting the person know that when other people have gone through similar things or are showing similar signs, they've been having thoughts of suicide, and asking, is that something that you've experienced or are currently experiencing? That way they don't feel like they're alone, that they're not the only one who's experiencing those thoughts, but also not dismissing their feelings, especially with kids. Your child may say to you, oh, I'm so upset because my 7th grade boyfriend broke up with me. But that could be the worst thing that's happened to them at this point.
Exactly.
So we may be looking back and say, oh, there's going to be so many others, don't worry about it. But to them, that's the one event that's currently rocking their world. So making sure that we're not dismissing anybody's feelings. We're not just saying, oh, here we go again, when they start to talk about it, or wanting to be open with their expressions. And really encouraging that open conversation from the beginning. If a person's sad, encouraging them to let it out. That way they're not just keeping it all in to the point where that balloon bursts. They're getting things out as they need to, and encouraging them to talk to other resources as well.
I would agree. I always usually ask young people to try to identify that one person that they can speak with. Just that one person. And although, I have these conversations with young people, like, I know your friends may be the one person, but I want someone else other than your friend. I want someone else that you can identify. So we like to, call them natural resources. It doesn't necessarily have to be the mom, because sometimes it's not the mom, but who else can you speak with so that they could let that information out and really, really talk about it. But I absolutely believe that we have to talk about suicide. death by suicides, suicide attempts have to be a conversation that we have to have. It's nothing that we want to really play around with. And we want to just come out and ask those questions. We don't want to play around with the questions or mix words. We want to be very clear. We want to be very honest and just really become more comfortable with having this very transparent conversations with our young people and the kids, because they are our champions too. And I have seen young people act as champions and talk to their friends. I've been in areas and different events where I've heard a young person say, I talked them into getting help. And that is huge to me. So they are our champions, and we absolutely have to put into our young people. And by doing that, it's just by being very honest, very transparent with them, talking about it so that they can then be out there, because it's everybody's business. They're the first persons, they go to each other first. So we want them to have the accurate information. We want them to have those resources so that they can share with their friends.
I'm glad you mentioned the point about the parent too, because often when we've done presentations, parents will say, my child just won't open up to me. And a lot of times we don't open up to our parents about certain things because we don't want to feel like we're disappointing them. So encouraging them to talk to somebody. They may not feel comfortable to talk to you, and being okay with them talking to their best friend's parent or the neighbor or the mailman or whoever it might be, but talking to somebody. And it's not that they don't feel comfortable, they don't want to disappoint you. So they might not be ready to have that conversation or might need another adult to help them with that transition.